Hello tubers, tubettes, crazy people. Welcome back to the little channel. Well, this is my 4th year anniversary month of living in the Philippines. And I think what I'll do on this video is kind of give you a blow by blow of year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. The highlights, the mini lowlights. And then I'll come to some sort of a conclusion, and hopefully it won't take too long. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention the genesis of why I was motivated to get on the flight 4 years ago and come over here to retire, as opposed to just, staying in the States, paying off the house and buying a Winnebago. The reason being is that in 2005, I was in a position to go to Thailand at the bequest of my friend. And so when my friend Gary invited me to come see him, I actually had the time. I had changed jobs from the car business to real estate, so I was now my own boss. My kids were grown up and out of the house. The wife that I never once got along with was long gone and off with another fellow. And so it was just me, myself, and I in this big ass house in Las Vegas, and said, sure, why not? So off I go to Thailand. And when I got to Thailand, a remarkable thing happened to me. I was transformed. I had gone to, with a ticket, a round trip ticket for 2 weeks, and ended up staying for 2 months, and was never sadder than when I had to get on the plane and come back home. I just wanted to stay there. I was in love. I was in love with the people. I was in love with the culture. I was in love with the fact that when you walked down the street and you made eye contact with somebody, that they actually smiled at you. I was in love with the fact that not everything was sterilized and homogenized. I watched a woman hack up a duck in this little stall with a cat walking across the table and flies buzzing all around, and scoop it up into a bag and took it home, and we ate it for dinner, and no adverse effects. And I got to, it just sort of rang a bell in my head, that one little thing of watching this woman hack up this duck in these totally unsanitary conditions. And it started my mind moving as to what a bill of goods I've been getting sold all my life. You need to Lysol this and you need to scrub down that. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be clean and you shouldn't wash your hands and all that, but I saw the overkill and the commercialism and again, I just want to say the bill of goods that I've been getting sold. I was over there having fun, interacting with people, seeing new sights, having conversations, trying to struggle through conversations with people that didn't speak English and I didn't speak their language. I saw beautiful women, I saw beautiful places, I saw, again, just an aura of happiness that was lacking in the States. And there had been something really missing in my life, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And one of them was hope. I didn't have that much hope for my future back in the States. There was one other thing that was missing, but I'll hold off on that for a little while. So anyway, after my 2 months, I came back to the States and was completely transformed, which I know was a bold statement, but my mindset just changed. I had seen it firsthand. And I started looking at the big screen that I owned, and I started looking at the car in the garage, and I started looking at the 4-bedroom house that I lived in alone, and why did I need 3 extra bedrooms, and a swimming pool that I never swim in. And so this sort of began my journey of becoming a minimalist. And to this day, I can't stress enough how awake I became to how much stuff causes unhappiness. If I own a car, it owns me because I have to insure it, and I have to put gas in it, and I have to maintain it. And if I own a TV, that's great, but I've got to pay for cable just to watch the TV. If I purchase anything new, I tend to stress over it that it's going to break or fall down or whatever. And I put all this emphasis on things and materialistic objects that at the end of the day aren't going to give you a kiss goodnight. They're just going to be inanimate objects. So that was one of the effects, was minimalism and the sense of community. And so I was a happy camper. I was doing well financially in 2005. I had been to Thailand, and it had lit a fire that, you know what, when I retire, I'm going to liquidate everything that I've got, and I am going to move to Thailand, to Southeast Asia, and that's just going to be that. Because in America, what I found was that your options as you get older are akin to that of a funnel. You know, a funnel is very wide at the top. And so when you're in your 20s and you're in your mid-20s, there's all these opportunities that are available to you as far as career, your health is at its peak, romance, you still got your looks, your body's in good shape. And then in your 30s, you're still in that condition. Maybe now you've married the girl. And then you hit the 40s and you've got the stress of work and the stress of the wife and the stress of the kids. And then you get to 50 like I was, and I was just like worn out from it all. It did not go as planned. And so to say that I was beaten up and beaten down is kind of an understatement. And this is not a pity party. This is just me being truthful and honest with you. But I had hope because I knew that I was just going to keep marching on and doing what I do and get back and visit Thailand whenever I could, maybe visit some other countries while I could. And then 2008 came along. And I really understood minimalism then, baby. Because everything that I owned just got washed away. The house got foreclosed, the 401k got decimated, and I couldn't find a job for love or money. And so that was tough. That was, I thought I had it tough before, and now I've really got it tough. Now I'm older, I'm broke, I can't get a gig, and I was just sort of bobbing about. And I worked knucklehead jobs, I stayed in various places, I lived from check to check, I leaned on people, I borrowed money, I always paid it back, but it was just not a fun time. To say that I was depressed and down and unhappy is an understatement. However, there was hope because I had seen the other side. And so I made the conscious decision just to put one foot in front of the other and make it to 62 and pull the plug, get my retirement, and come and live in the Philippines. I planned to go to Thailand, but after research and all that kind of stuff, visa changes, etc., I won't bore you with the details. I landed in the Philippines, and I do not regret it one iota. The hope had survived. It had the inspiration that I got in 2005, that light never dimmed. Whenever I thought that I didn't want to wake up in the morning, whenever I thought that I didn't want to get up and go do whatever stupid job I had, or deal with whatever I had to deal with, I just told myself, Paul, hang in there. You know, it's going to be better. It's going to be okay. Finally, the day arrived, and I did. I landed here in the Philippines. So that's the background. And now for their little bit of review. I would call that my first year here in the Philippines the learning curve. Because I think we can both admit that I'm fairly dim-witted and not the sharpest tool in the shed. So it took me a long-ass time to get acclimated. I would say it took me a full-on year of making one mistake after another. I won't waterboard you with examples, but I came close to losing my savings account. I hung out with the wrong type of people. I got involved with somebody I shouldn't have gotten involved with. I overpaid for everything. I like to call it retail plus 10%. And so, but I have to tell you that my senses were always, it was not Vegas anymore. You know, it wasn't in front of the TV set and looking at stuff. I was just doing my best to hang on. And I had given myself 6 months. I had said, okay, I'm going to come over here, and if I can't make it after 6 months, then I'll just go back and start all over again. And believe it or not, on the first day of the 6th month, the end of 6 months, month number 7, day number 1, is when I bought my scooter, my gay-looking little scooter that I've still got parked outside right now, 3.5 years later. That was my commitment. I spent the $1,600. I gave up the rental, and now I was here. I had come over here with a rule that I was never going to buy anything that I couldn't afford to walk away from. And I'm proud to say that I've stuck to that to this very day. So that was year number 1. Year number 1 was I moved a girl in right away. She's a wonderful woman, but she was kind of a black hole when it came to money. I knew better, but I went ahead and did it anyway because she was just so pretty. And so the first year is now come to a conclusion, and I'm now fairly well settled in, and I'm here as I had originally planned. What I had originally planned was to stay single because I'd found that I actually do like myself. And I was just going to try to travel. I was just going to try to bounce around a little bit. And that kind of got the kibosh put on it because I did a little bit of traveling. I went to this island, I went to that island, and I checked them out. And lo and behold, what I found was that, to be quite frank with you guys, one island was just like the next. I don't see a lot of diversity out here in the Philippines. Maybe I haven't been to the right places. I know there are places with super duper beaches. I know there's places like Manila and Cebu that have got the whiz-bang high-rises and all that kind of stuff. I've been there and seen that, and that doesn't float my boat. But as far as going from this place to that place, some of them are more province life, some of them are more modern, but for the most part, if you've been to one island, I think you've pretty much been to them all. It's just how many expats are in there. So my second year was the year of being the single guy. And funny thing is my motivation to come over here was not to meet anybody. In fact, I'd had enough. But the last thing I wanted to do after my 2 marriages was to meet a woman. And, but that was one of those options in that funnel that was now as open at the age of 60 as it used to be at the age of 30. And so, me being me, I dated. I dated quite a bit. And what was nice was that what I had lost, one thing that I couldn't put my finger on, I'd never lost hope, but there was something that I had lost in all those years of being married and working the crazy job and getting mired and mucked and bogged down in just the day-to-day life. What I had lost and what I found in the second year of living here was me. My personality returned. I became the guy that I was when I was 20, which was fairly carefree. I enjoy a good laugh. I like to be an optimist. I like to look at the brighter sides of things. I made friends. I had a lot of laughs. I did what I wanted to do. And I think that was probably the biggest victory of the whole experience over here was in year 2, was I rediscovered Paul. And the guy that had been squished down and held back and berated by the ex and beat up by the job and pulled and tugged at by the kids, that was all over and done with. And it was my turn to be selfish. It was my turn to do what I wanted to do. And when I met somebody, if I didn't think it was going to click, I just told them right up front, this isn't working. I no longer tried to stretch it out or think this was my last chance with someone this pretty or that cute or whatever moniker you want to put on them. I just ended it and remained friends with them. And so that was kind of like my crazy party, go out drinking, meet the girls, go here, go there, stay up late. And if I always thought getting it out of your system was just a saying. I always thought that guys that like to cat around a lot never got it out of their system. I'm here to verify that I got that out of my system because it just became more work than I wanted to put into it. Again, I'm a guy that's just happy with himself. So I was happy with waking up and not having any responsibilities. If I wanted to leave the house, I could leave the house. If I wanted to stay home, I could stay home. If I wanted to hang out with some people, they were always easy enough to find. Year 3 was the year that I met Baby May. And again, not looking to get into a relationship, but having dated a variety of different women over time, I was still attracted to the idea of companionship and going through life with someone and experiencing it with someone. I found that that's more fun than doing everything alone. And when I met May, her and I actually didn't hit it off to begin with. I told her no too. In fact, I told her no a couple of times. And, but something about her just sort of never left my brain. And so we would separate for a while and then get back together. And what I discovered in her was she was genuine. And what you see is what you get. And she is a very good barometer of people. And so year 3 was the 3rd year of May and I just sort of starting to get to know each other. She was working. I was helping a friend with a bar at the time. And we were socializing with my friends. And she was being introduced to things that she'd never seen before. And she started to educate me, if you will. And I started to educate her. And so that was an ongoing process. And finally, she moved in, and we sort of set up camp, and that was that. Year 4, which I'm just coming out of, has pretty much been a mellowing out period. We have, when I say we, I'm talking about May and myself, we have settled into a routine. We both started doing YouTube a couple of years. Well, I started a couple of years ago. She started a year ago. That kept us occupied. We enjoy doing that. We go on little adventures. We're still minimalists. We're going to be moving at the end of this month into a house as opposed to an apartment because we value our privacy. And I am looking forward to year 5. I think that COVID will finally come to a grinding halt. It will give me an opportunity to get back to America and see some people that I haven't seen. I think that it's going to be a new phase in my life where I think the Philippines may be played out for me, to be quite honest with you. I think it's time to get me a passport and start bouncing around to some other countries and seeing what life has got to offer over there. Because we've kind of been there and done that. If I was to die here tomorrow, I would die here a happy guy. But I still think that there's more adventures in the future. I think there's more things to discover. I think there's different people to meet. I think there's different sights, smells, and sounds that we'd like to experience. And hopefully I'll be around in the next few years, and I'll be able to share those experiences with you also. So I thank you for joining me on my journey. It's been 4 years, and I look forward to the next 4 years. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.